For our project, we set out to create a work scheduling application. The idea of our project comes from the fact that many businesses that offer part-time work require some sort of dynamic scheduling application to work on a week-to-week basis with. All of us here in the group have had experience working with these kinds of applications, and more often than not, they're old, clunky, out of date, and complicated to work with. The goal of our project is to make this process much more streamlined and intuitive, not just for creating and rolling out schedules, but for viewing them as well. Our application also provides not just scheduling features, but punch in and out features to keep track of employees' hours, since all of us have had similar bad experiences with unreliable time clocks at job sites.
For our web app, we're using MySQL for the database, Koa.js for the middleware, and React for the UI. We also have an iOS version which interacts with Koa.js and MySQL just like the web app, but uses Swift for its UI.
Starting off the login page, employees log in with their employee ID and password. We've landed at the summary page, which shows us the departments we're trained in, our current availability, our next upcoming shift and time off, and the admin only needs attention section, which is showing us that 2 availability or time off requests are pending. To see those, we open the sidebar and click on availability and time off requests.
Here in the Requests tab, we can see our 2 pending requests. Since I'm an admin, I can see all requests and I can approve or deny them. This request down here is my own, so I'm able to edit it like so. Or I can remove it completely. And this brings us to our Shifts tab.
Here we are at the centerpiece of the Work Scheduler app, the Shifts page. This is where admins specify the shifts that need to be filled. This week's schedule has already been posted, so we need to get next week's done. To start with, let's copy and paste this week's schedule. Now, this is a schedule for a movie theater, and while most of our shifts are going to stay the same, there's a highly anticipated movie premiering next week, so we want to get some extra help on the weekend. Luckily, we just hired a new employee, so let's onboard them and schedule them some shifts.
To onboard our new employee, it's important that we're in dark mode because dark mode is cooler. We click here to start adding John Doe's close cousin, John D. Once we're done putting in his information, we have to make it known that he's a trainee, so let's add that in the View Training tab. And now John D should be ready to rock.
Now that John D is onboarded, let's add some new shifts. Next, we press the Generate Schedule button to assign employees to each shift. Finally, we post the schedule from the All Schedules page so that all of our employees can see their schedule.
So each time you press the Generate button, we fetch the relevant data for that time range, such as the employees as well as the shifts that we need to fill. When we fetch the shift data, it's actually sorted by the number of employees who can work that shift based on their availability, time off, and training. And for each shift, starting with the hardest ones to fill, we make the list of employees who are trained in that shift's department and then filter it down by who's available. From here, we remove anyone in the list who working it would put it over their maximum hours per week. And if there are no employees eligible because of this, we look to see if any of their previous shifts during that work week can be taken over by another employee. If that's the case, then we replace them in their previous shift and assign them this new one. We then follow this whole process over again by limiting the eligible employees down by anyone who's conflicted and already working a shift that day. If this is the limitation that makes it so nobody can work the shift, we simply look at the conflicting shift to see if anyone else can work it. If this can resolve the conflict, we now have a list of all the employees who can work, which we can simply pick the one from the top of the list since this is the employee that has the least number of shifts that week. Once we do this for every shift, we've completely generated the schedule and left any unfilled shifts color-coded for the admin to handle.
Now, let's take a look at the iOS app. First, I'm going to log in just like I did on the web app. And here we can see my next upcoming shift, my schedule, and my time off and availability requests. I can make a new time off request by pressing the button in the top right corner, specifying the start and end dates, and providing a reason. We can also view my notifications. Lastly, I can clock in and out of my shift using the time clock page. You can see that I've been on the clock since 3 p.m., and while I'm a little early, I'm going to press End Shift. Because I clocked out early, I need to request admin approval.
Back in our web app, we can take a look at Kyle's latest punch in the Punches tab.
Let's check out John D's new page real quick. We can go to the availability and time off page. We can make a new request for him. Let's say next week he doesn't have to work. We won't worry about why. While we're here, let's look at the new schedule. We've got a shift on Friday and Saturday. I think that's all we have to do as John D. So I'm going to log out real quick. Thank you guys so much for watching.